may say that I'm very humbled to be standing here and share with you of my research findings. I think what I'm about to share is probably a lot of you will intuitively know, but perhaps just let me run through it with you and see if you agree or not. Can I just say that I totally agree with Debbie that Asia is a very wide concept, that there are all kinds of cultures. So as a Chinese, I'm just wanting to share with you what I understand as the differences between Chinese and Westerners, which I guess here is the dominant culture here as the Pakeha culture. So it's a very generalized idea, and I understand there are a lot of differences within each culture. I think, yeah, in 20 years' time, New Zealand will be a very exciting place by the time my boys become adults. Just a little background about myself. I think myself and my research, I think that will help you understand the context of my research. I grew up in Beijing. I came to New Zealand in 2002. I did my Bachelor of Agricultural Science in China Agricultural University. And then I came to Lincoln University and finished my Master's in Applied Science in Horticultural Management. During that time, I met a Kiwi. He's blonde-haired and blue eyes, and we have two Kiwi boys, age 6 and coming up 6 and 7. And I have been the lecturer at Lincoln University in Agribusiness Management since 2011. Now my research is focused on the cross-cultural business relationships between Kiwis and Chinese, but particularly in the context of food and agribusiness. I interviewed mostly New Zealand agribusinesses operating in China, but also some of them only export to China. They're based here and they might export through agents into China. Most of the interviewees were Kiwis, about 3/4 of them were Kiwis, and 1/4 were Chinese. And they were mostly CEOs, and some of them were senior management, could be CFO, could be HR directors. And interviews were conducted in either language, whichever they choose, Mandarin or English. Can't speak Cantonese, unfortunately. So I think what I'm about to share probably go beyond just agribusiness. It's probably something that really applies to just about every sector. I think we have to go back to see the difference. We really have to go back to see the differences between Westerners and Chinese as to how we see the world. I think for Westerners, this is the world, and more or less, human as people, we are somewhat outside of it, and the world is not ideal. But in our mind, there is an ideal world. And through our effort, through the plans we put in place, and through our actions, we can make the world towards this ideal. Whereas the difference in that is that for the Chinese, the world is how it is, and more or less, we're in it. The world will evolve regardless of what we do, to a large degree. The sun will always come up in the east, and this order of seasons is always spring, summer, autumn, winter. Nothing changes. So we simply just go along with it. I think if you bear that in mind, so one is about we can change the world, the other one is about we travel along, go along with the world. With that in mind, I want to introduce you with the idea of shu. This is what Chinese use a lot, the concept of strategic thinking. It's about the disposition and the potential in any situation. I think if I could just use an analogy of we are hoping to push an object from one end to another. Now, if this object is on a flat surface, even if it is round, you have to make quite an effort to push it, and probably won't go very far. Now, if it is on a slope, but it is not round, still doesn't go a long way. But if it is on a slope, if it is round, it can go down quite quickly. Now I know that in the science field we will talk about the gravity and friction and all of those things, but I think what I want to show you is this concept of Chinese will think about things Chinese strategy aims to use every possible means to influence the potential inherent in the forces at play to its own advantage. So it's not about the science as such. It's more about how we proactively to create a situation that things will naturally go that way. That's how I see it, how Chinese work. So with all of that in mind, I just want to show you what I see as some key differences between Westerners and Chinese in the strategic thinking. So because Westerners think we can change the world, so we make a plan. So Westerners very much, it's about we make a plan, we go step by step. Whereas Chinese is more about let's see how things evolve. We'll go with the flow. And we change the plan as we go along. There will be a plan, but plan can be changed. And plan can never, it's never a still plan. And because of that, Westerners are more proactive. Let's make a plan. Let's think about what we can do. Whereas Chinese will think about more reactive. How things have been, and because things are this way, and so therefore we should be reacting that way. And now because we think we can change, in the Western eyes, because we can change the world, so we set rules and regulations in place. And in the society, laws mean a lot. Whereas in China, it is not to say that the law is not important, but people are more important. How people interpret the law is very, very important. Now, also because of the laws and regulations in place, coming back to the Westerners, how we can maximize individuals' capacity to work within this framework. So therefore, Westerners prioritize individual entities far more than the Asians. Whereas for the Asians, because people means more, relationships are at the top priority compared to the Western society where individuals are more important. Now, for the Westerners, because individuals are more important, there's a power of persuasion. It's about how we can motivate each person to do the best they can do. Whereas Chinese talk about manipulation. Now, this is not in the Western society, manipulation can have a bad connotation. This is not about being a bad connotation. This is simply about trying to maneuver and trying to make the situation to your best advantage. So it's not a negative comment here. It's just different ways of thinking. Now, because of the way it is, for the Chinese, newcomers, because people do manipulate, newcomers often coming and being regarded as guilty until proven innocent. What does he want? What does he want to get out of this? Whereas for the Westerners, now everybody is encouraged to express yourself, so you are innocent until proven guilty. Whereas Chinese is often the other way around. And along with that, Westerners, with this concept of we make a plan, we do things step by step, things are often more black and white. So Westerners take on challenge a lot better. They thrive in confrontation. It's a battle, it's a do or die. Whereas for the Chinese, they avoid confrontation. Harmony is far more important. So they thrive in harmony, and in fact, no one dies. And even if you think about a battle, the best for a general to achieve is to be able to somehow winning the battle without going into a battle, and so that you can best utilize the resources both from your own army and from the enemy's army. That's really all of it. Thank you.